Side hustle and building dreams. The mind that opens up to a new idea never returns to its original size. Albert Einstein. (2016) I invested my dwindling savings in a business coaching program and worked closely with my coach on a weekly basis, brainstorming ideas to generate income by teaching Tai Chi. With his support, I designed a comprehensive 12-part course on the fundamentals of Tai Chi and hired an online programmer from Greece to build a dedicated website. The next crucial step was to film the videos for the course. Fortunately, I discovered a camera shop on Vivian Street, which was conveniently located within walking distance from our home. Although I had experience with underwater photography in Honduras, I realized that I was unprepared for this new endeavor. The technology for filming videos was quite different from what I was accustomed to. While I had managed to capture some decent photos of fish, I had never filmed a video before. Underwater, my goal was to catch the eye of the fish looking at the camera, which usually made for a good picture. My lack of visual memory, which was the cause of my terrible sense of direction, also meant that I didn't notice details around me, which made me unskilled at capturing scenes on land. I set out to accomplish my first objective and buy an affordable camera. I walked into the store and I noted the subtle aroma of new electronics and polished surfaces that filled the air. The store was well lit, with gleaming glass cases displaying an array of cameras and accessories. Each section was meticulously organized, creating a sense of order and professionalism. A man in his 30s approached me, his presence immediately welcoming. He had a head full of thick, beautifully maintained dreadlocks that cascaded down his shoulders. His London accent was unmistakable, adding a touch of cosmopolitan charm to the encounter. With a warm smile, he introduced himself and offered his assistance. We talked for what felt like hours, surrounded by the hum of other customers and the soft click of camera shutters being tested. He was very knowledgeable and explained the intricacies of each model with passion and patience. His eyes lit up whenever we discussed the finer points of photography, and it was clear that he loved his work. He guided me through the various options, answering every question I had. I appreciated his honesty when he admitted that if he didn't know something offhand, he would promptly look it up or ask a colleague. His dedication to helping me find the perfect camera was evident in every interaction we had. I went back to the store 3 times before I decided on a Canon camera that suited my budget. He congratulated me on my choice, his enthusiasm infectious. He rang up the sale and made sure that I had all the necessary accessories and offered tips on getting started with my new camera. I walked out of the store with the camera bag over my shoulder, feeling reassured that I had made an informed decision, thanks to the man with the dreadlocks and his exceptional service. I was full with excitement to get the project started. When I got back to our room, I carefully crafted colorful mind maps on a sizable poster cardboard to outline all my intended points. Each day after cleaning the rooms, I carried all my gear up to the training park to film the videos for my first course. However, the unpredictable Wellington winds knocked over the mind maps. I had to become very proficient in predicting the weather, and, in time, I began to call myself the weather girl. Back in my room, I reviewed the video to see where it needed improvement. Shifu had warned us that students will repeat the movements just like their teacher, and I wanted my movements to be as perfect as I could execute them. Simultaneously, I learned how to use the software to edit the videos, improve the sound, and upload them online to my website. My venture into the world of videography didn't end with the first purchase. It was just the beginning. I made it a point to visit various camera specialists around the city, each one offering a depth of knowledge and different perspective. These visits became an integral part of my routine, blending my thirst for technical understanding with my need for human connection. Each specialist I encountered had their own story and style. Some were older with years of experience etched into their hands and faces, while others were younger, brimming with innovative ideas and the latest industry trends. Regardless of their backgrounds, our conversations were always enlightening. We'd engage in playful banter, discussing everything from the intricacies of camera settings to the nuances of sound recording. Through these exchanges, I gleaned more technical information than I ever could have from a manual or online forum. These interactions went beyond mere transactions. I could engage in meaningful dialogue and share a mutual passion with others, making my solitary moments in this new city a little less lonely. My visits to the camera specialists around the city were just one facet of my quest for connection. Every day I looked for interactions, whether in the bustling streets of downtown Wellington or the quiet hallways of the accommodation complex. As I cleaned, I made it a point to stop and talk to anyone who passed by. These small conversations were my lifelines, anchoring me to my new geographic location. One day, as I was tidying up, I met Jerome, a lively French chef in his 20s, with roots from the French island of Marseille in the Caribbean. Jerome's upbeat energy was refreshing, and his natural warmth made it easy for us to connect. We quickly struck up a friendship that felt more like family. Jerome joined me for the weekly salsa socials in town, where we would lose ourselves in the rhythm of the music, infused with a sense of playfulness on the dance floor. He also cooked meals with Emily, filling the communal kitchen with the rich, tantalizing aromas of his culinary creations. His friendly smile and cheerful presence brought a sense of ease and lightness. Because his English was limited, Jerome couldn't find work in his profession. To fill his time while his girlfriend was at work, he sat in the rooms while I cleaned them, and his company made the mundane tasks feel lighter and more fun. We spent many evenings discussing our futures and how we could stay in New Zealand. One night, over another delicious meal he had prepared, I proposed an idea. Why not contact a business broker about buying a restaurant? This seemed like a natural fit for his abilities and passion, and it offered a potential solution for both of us to build a life in New Zealand. Running a restaurant wasn't exactly aligned with my skill set, especially since I'd never been a good cook. However, I was willing to explore every avenue. It was becoming increasingly clear that my cleaning job wasn't going to pave the way for residency in New Zealand. Being a cleaner was not my lifelong ambition, and I knew I had to consider a different path if I wanted to secure residency. We found a business broker online and made an appointment to meet with him. He took us to inspect a few potential restaurants. However, it quickly became apparent to our broker that I wasn't entirely convinced about the idea of taking on this project. Sensing my reluctance, he invited us to learn about his side hustle with his wife, which offered a different kind of opportunity. I was open to trying anything at least once, so I agreed to attend the meeting. Despite the language barrier, Jerome agreed to accompany me, and I knew that his ever-present smile would add a positive vibe to the experience. When we arrived, I immediately felt defensive about the nature of their business. I maneuvered us to sit at the back of the brightly lit conference room. The rest of the audience was seated at the front on neat rows of metal chairs. The air was thick with the scent of stale coffee and high expectations. On the whiteboard, there were diagrams that looked to me like a pyramid scheme, but the speaker referred to it as multilevel sales. The presenter, a middle-aged man in an oversized suit, droned on as he explained the concept. I discovered that this business involved buying a significant quantity of a product and recruiting others to do the same, thereby building a network where everyone benefited from each other's sales and purchases. As the speaker continued in his monotone voice, I kicked Jerome under the table and pulled funny faces, trying to lighten the oppressive mood. Jerome stifled a laugh, glancing nervously at the speaker to see if we were attracting attention. 15 minutes into the meeting, the door at the side of the room quietly opened. A tall, slender woman with platinum hair, who looked to be in her mid-50s, walked in quietly, her eyes darting around nervously. She wore a guilty expression on her face, as if she knew she was late to something she wasn't entirely sure she wanted to be a part of. Her hair, perfectly styled and cut just above her shoulders, contrasted sharply with the simple, slightly wrinkled black pants she wore, suggesting she'd been working all day and had to rush to get there. Despite her rushed manner, she carried herself with a certain grace, and her presence was quietly commanding. The room barely acknowledged her entrance, still fixated on the speaker's monotonous pitch, but I noticed. She hesitated for a moment, scanning the room for a familiar face or an empty seat, before quickly slipping into a chair near the door. "Ah, Priscilla, you finally made it. We've been waiting for you," our business broker said, a hint of warmth and familiarity in his voice. Priscilla gave a small, tight smile and nodded. "Yes, I got caught up with the kids and work and groceries," and Priscilla was about to continue her list when the organizer interrupted. "Never mind, Mike filled in for you. Now please continue the presentation," he instructed her. Priscilla stood up, placed her belongings on the chair, and walked to the front of the room. Once she began to speak, I found myself captivated by her presentation, and my mind raced with questions. I pondered the nature of her fitness routine. What kind of body is that? Yoga? Pilates? After Priscilla took over the presentation, the meeting flew by. Once she was done, she made her way to the back of the room, where the business broker, his wife, Jerome, and I were seated. She approached us with a welcoming smile. Our broker introduced Priscilla more formally, explaining that she was a partner in their side venture. "Thank you for staying," Priscilla began. "We'd love to tell you more about our business and how it might align with your goals." Jerome and I listened intently. When she was done, I turned to her and asked, "Can you please tell me what kind of exercise or sport you do, Priscilla?" She smiled and said, "I'm a sensei black belt in Shotokan Karate, 5th Dan." Intrigued, I leaned in closer as she continued to share more about her life. "I run an after-school karate dojo as my second job. During the day, I teach art and religion at Wellington High School. That's where my daughter Emily is going to school." "Wow, I'm so impressed with you, Priscilla," I said, feeling a deep respect for her accomplishments. Then turning to the others, I said, "All right, how much does it cost to hang out with her?" I pointed toward Priscilla, half joking, but entirely fascinated by her presence and achievements. Priscilla laughed, the sound light and sincere. $120 and you get a startup pack," our business broker answered, and proceeded to drone on about all that I would receive and what my obligations were to the team. "Where do I sign and how do I pay?" I asked him. Even though I knew I had to be careful with money, I felt that paying for new experiences was always worth it. "Welcome to the team," she said. "Let's grab coffee sometime and make a plan for the business." I nodded, still in awe of her. "Definitely. I look forward to it," I said, thinking about how much I could learn from someone like her. Our team leader explained that I was expected to go out, prospect, and sign people up to my team. I didn't care. I would try whatever he was asking. I had a new friend.